Hello, welcome to episode 11 of Amazing Entrepreneurs. Today I'm talking to Eitan Fishbein, and if you've ever struggled with growth, sales, and lead generation, then this is the episode you're not going to want to miss. Hello, hello. It's another beautiful Tuesday. I'm excited to have my buddy Eitan Fishbein on from Rest Assured Home Buyers. This is episode 11 of Amazing Entrepreneurs. I'm glad you are still here with us and sticking around. This is an exciting episode. With that, real quick, I'm going to pass it over to my buddy Eitan. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Appreciate you having me over here. So I'm an entrepreneur, own my own business. I've done that since 2014. July 1st, 2014 was the last time I had a paycheck.
Oh,
And so
you've been doing this for a while, huh?
I've been doing it for a minute. And
Okay.
so, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I've been able to pay my mortgage and feed my family and myself ever since then. But I specialize in buying distressed real estate and helping people with their real estate problems.
Interesting. So you do a lot of, real estate market, we've actually had a broker on and, I know a little bit about it. I mean, for instance, I know a fun fact, there's 20,000 registered or licensed real estate professionals in Palm Beach County alone.
Okay.
So, in order to do so, I mean, how many people, I know Palm Beach County is a pretty damn big county, but like 20,000 is a lot, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're going to jump right into it, I'll just say, as with everything, anybody who's watching, if you don't know about the 80-20 rule, I'd say it applies to real estate professionals in South Florida. You have 80% of the people doing 20% of the work and 20% of the people doing 80% of the work.
Right. I mean, you said July 1st of 2014 then, huh?
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a while.
Been doing it for a while.
Congratulations. That's good stuff. What'd you do before we get too deep into it? But like, what'd you do prior to it? How'd you get into real estate?
So prior to this, I was actually a stockbroker, and I worked maybe a few blocks away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I worked for a major
Always
firm.
a money guy.
Always a money guy.
Okay.
And before that, I worked as a salesperson in telecommunications, basically at a cell phone store for one of the major carriers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you still do any stocks now, or you dabbled in it and then got out and decided real estate was your path forward?
So interesting you say that, because it was not my. So it was my dream to become a Wall Street guy, to work in high finance and do all that.
Yeah.
And I ended up where I ended up was as a stockbroker, which is kind of on the lower end of things in finance, where you're basically selling the firm services to individuals and to companies. And so what I found is that I didn't get enough adequate sales training, and they had a great sales program, but it didn't resonate with me at the time. And so I lost traction, and in that industry, it's very competitive. So I lost traction, and I said, I got to do something different. And I have some family that's been in real estate investment for probably since World War II.
Really?
Yeah, and so that was always kind of something that I didn't necessarily want to do, but because whenever family does it, you don't want to do it because you kind of want to make your own mark.
Yeah.
And you want to do something different. Well, at that point, I said, let me give this a shot. And so, I've done very little in the way of selling real estate like a real estate agent. That's not really something that I enjoy doing. But what I do enjoy doing is using my money and money from my investors to buy real estate from people who have a need to sell quickly, or have a complicated situation,
Right.
where I can use my expertise and experience to solve their problem, and to make them money, and to make myself money, and to help everybody kind of move on to the next chapter.
Right. Because I mean, some of it is, it's, to me, when you say distressed, it's like, hey, you're taking it. Well, no, not really. I mean, you didn't put them in the position, but you're also giving them a way out. Because like a lot of times, maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but like whenever I hear distressed, it's like, either we do something now or we're going to lose everything, sort of a thing. Is that true, or is that not necessarily?
I think for a lot of the people who I work with, that's the case.
Okay.
And certainly those are a lot of people who I tend to target as prospects,
Uh-huh.
because anybody who's been in sales for long enough knows that you want people who are highly motivated. And
Right.
so people who are in a situation where they have to do something rather than, well, let me think about it and I'll get back with you. When
Right.
you have people who are really in a position where they need to do something, or where if they don't do anything, they lose out completely. Those are the people who I work best with, because I can really at that point get down to the core of the issue and see what is the best way that I can solve their problem, if I'm even the best way to solve their problem, and then move on quickly if I'm not. And I'll let them know. I'll say, hey, I think based upon hearing what you're saying, probably isn't the best fit.
Right. Well, I mean, I think, you hit on the timing part, because IBM, which is, by the way, a Palm Beach-based county, right, or a Palm Beach-based company, was one of the largest in the world. I mean, it's still a monster, but they created part of the sales process is BANT, right? So it's, do they have the budget? Do they have the authority? Do they have the need? And is the timing right? And it sounds like you guys are like, the timing can never be is exponentially through the roof, on some of those situations, because like sometimes, if it's a complicated situation, I mean, it's, either from, change of lifestyles, change of status, change of like, for whatever reason, they have to get rid of something. And if they need to do it, they need to do it now. So it sounds like timing is, you guys really, I mean, that's part of the sales process. If you're not selling to somebody who doesn't have the budget, the authority, the need, or the timing, and that doesn't set everything for the sales process, but it certainly does help.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. There's other people who I work with who've inherited properties. And here's something cool. Have you ever bought something from somebody who didn't know that it was for sale? And so I buy properties from people who have inherited properties, who don't necessarily know that either they've inherited it, or that they have an interest in it, or that they can even sell it.
Right.
And so I do a lot of education with people when I identify that they actually own something or they have an interest in something.
Right.
And I can put money in their pocket and help them
Yeah.
with whatever it is in their life, without them having to put up any money up front for all the legal fees and costs, and et cetera.
Gotcha. So with, we started off, you're a stockbroker. It's funny you say that, because like they have a really great sales process. Because I'll be honest with you, I have this guy that calls me and is like trying to get me to invest like money in their firm or whatever. And dude, he's an incredible on the phone. So like I want to take his like I'm like, bro, come sell for Amazing Tech, man. Because like, damn it, I can't ever get out. Like he's good at like keeping me engaged on the phone when I'm like not going to buy, because the timing's not right. I'm like, bro, I'm like not going to invest a lot of money with you because you're good on the phones, but you're very good on the phones. So. But that was there. You said it's not a great sales. So the stockbroker, I thought, so they aren't actually doing the day trading. They're actually just bringing people on to be their quote unquote financial advisor.
So this actually, I was on the ride over here, I was thinking about some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about, and this is kind of a good segue, which is that, and I do want to answer your question.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I think for all entrepreneurs out there, I think it's important to know that the core of any business is sales and marketing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Trust me. I 100% agree with that, but I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's sales and marketing, and having a robust sales process that's repeatable is the only way to succeed in business, and especially to purposefully succeed and not by accident, which, I think a lot of people think that like sales is all about, okay, can I manipulate this guy into buying the thing that I need to sell to be able to pay my bills? And,
Right.
That's what they call like traditional sales, where you beat somebody over the head with
Yeah. You quote unquote close them or whatever.
You close them, exactly. And so I think most people who go into business, and, this isn't, a criticism, but I think most people who go into business, they think about their product first, and they think, okay, well, this is the product that I'm selling. I need to get really good at selling this, at understanding the product, or
And
developing
doing it well. Yeah.
and doing it well. When really it's all about the sales process, and the people who succeed in business, and I would say being a stockbroker is a business, because you have your own individual business inside the bigger business.
Yeah, your book of business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Being able to convey your value proposition and talk to people and consult with them is more important than being able to manage somebody's portfolio. And the reason is because when you work for a big firm, they have people in there who are really good at managing portfolios. And interestingly enough, the people who get paid the most in business are the people who bring in the business. So that's why stockbrokers or financial advisors get paid what they do relative to portfolio managers, because when you bring in the money, if you don't bring in the money, then the portfolio manager has nothing to manage.
Right, right. That's so true for us, and I think that like going into a product, it's like so many people focus on the, because that was me, because like me, we do outsourced IT, and we're good at doing IT work. I started my own business and I started doing work, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be an IT guy and the reality of it is I don't do almost no IT work. In my struggle, and part of the reason why we started doing this podcast is because like I found like a passion in knowing, it's like there's a art to owning a business, and it's not just like because you can be good at whatever the hell you do, but if you have no, even sales, you can have a great sales process, but if you have no leads to sell to to go through your sales process, then it doesn't matter how great it is, how good you said. Tell me, because like I don't think anybody else has mentioned it on the podcast. Tell me, when you said value proposition, what is that to you?
Well, it's when you speak to somebody who you think might be a good candidate, who may be a prospect.
Okay.
And for doing business with you, and you're able to convey in a quick and concise manner what it is that you're able to do for them, or how it is that you're able to change their current state of being to the state of being that they're looking to achieve.
Right, right. It's like, hey, by going with our services, this is how your life is going to improve, or this is what you're going to get. My value proposition is the delta of that. So if I start at, hey, I make 10% and I go to 15%, the value prop's 5%. And it's the effective way that I highlight it to you.
Absolutely. And I think, keeping it focused on the prospect is also hugely important, because, there's some people who will convey a value proposition by saying, I'm so good at X. This is what I've done. This is my experience. This is how I'm awesome. And this is why you should work with me. And if you understand, psychology and influence, people don't resonate with that.
People don't give a shit.
Exactly. So studies show that all buying decisions are made in the emotional side of the brain, and that you use your rational side or your logical side to rationalize or to justify the buying decision or the selling decision. And so you have to get somebody into a highly emotional state to be able to really sort of dig at that and get them to make a buying decision. But you're not going to do that if you're talking about yourself. You have to say, okay, you're in some sort of pain, okay, and let's say you're a stockbroker, okay, well, you're concerned that your money isn't protected against, if the market crashes. How are you protected? How much are you going to lose? And everybody can identify with losing money. And then it's okay, well, then how?
Not me. Not playing.
You're concerned about being able to live a comfortable retirement. You're concerned because you don't want to work past 65, let's say.
Right.
So what I can do is as and this is not my value proposition because I don't do this and I haven't done.
Yeah.
But you would say basically that my firm and based upon my experience, the portfolio managers, we can set up a plan so that you can make sure that we can almost not guarantee, but we can put a plan so that you are adequately prepared, and even more than adequately prepared for retirement, so that you can spend time with your grandkids. When you're past 65, you don't have to work. And so that resonates with people. And that's the kind of thing that I didn't learn when I was working for the other firm, was how to make it about the other person.
Right.
And so it's only since owning my own business and really studying the sales process and studying psychology that I've been able to really learn about how that impacts people.
Me and you should hang out. Because honestly, read a lot of books. I read our whole site, because it used to be like, to me, it's basically a fancy brochure of like, how cool am I, And the reality is that it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, you want to have some sort of credibility, but at the end of the day, people come to your website and they're selfish and they give a shit about their problems. And if you aren't speaking to their problems, or any sort of literature, it doesn't have to be your website. You can get a flyer, a sales presentation, your first slide on your PowerPoint deck. If it's about how cool your company is, it's the wrong slide. Nobody gives a shit. talk about why are we talking? Why are we having a conversation? Because like once we can identify why we're having a conversation or what's really motivating you to spend any amount of time with me, then we can answer to those problems. Because we have an awesome product, we have a phenomenal service. But like me telling you that we're a gold Microsoft partner, we have 37 certifications, or we do this and this and this and this, nobody cares.
I just want to make sure that my server doesn't go down on the weekends.
Right. So, so this is great. You know, I love talking about the sales process and the entrepreneur. So tell me how did you? I know you did some family stuff. Let's talk a little bit about your business and some of the things that you guys do, you know, currently, and what gets you going in them. Do you enjoy what you do?
I absolutely love what I do, and I'm very passionate about it.
Right.
And
funny because it's a family business, and you're like, you know, I don't necessarily, or your family was in it, but you're like, hey, I don't want to charge down the path, but we get into it, and you're like, you know what, I like this. So sorry to cut you off.
No. So just to clarify, I have family in California, and you know, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles who have been in real estate development of, like, you know, single family homes, like large tract developments and shopping centers, office built, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, really?
For decades and decades. And so, but my business is a little bit different because I think I focus on the sales and marketing a little bit more. And so that's really my forte. And so it's being able to run a business that's scalable, that utilizes the best marketing and the best sales to be able to help the most amount of people with their real estate issues. And so for, let's say, the last 9 years or so, I've been working primarily with single family or residential properties. And in about the last year or so, I've sort of transitioned as well into helping people with their commercial properties, whether they're apartment complexes, hotels. I'm staying away from offices right now because that there's like a landmine there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like it's tough.
Well, I think with all the COVID stuff, people are realizing that they can work at home, they're happier, and the businesses can save all the money on rent. So you have all these office buildings that are now, they have high vacancies, and so that's called a value trap.
Is that still the case? Because I haven't paid attention, because we downsized our office space whenever COVID happened, and to me there's just so much value with an office and with like a place of business. And you know, I think there's a fine line in between both. You need to have some flexibility, but I mean, you're most productive. You know, I own the company, and I'm most productive at the office. You know?
Oh, I agree 100%. And you know, I would never have employees. You know, I would never hire any additional employees who wouldn't be responsible for coming into the office 5 days a week. But I think the general trend in the country isn't the same. And I think that you have a lot of these big corporations where people are working from home, and the corporations feel like they can save money because people are happier at home, and maybe they get a little bit reduced productivity, but they have employees who are happier, and they don't have to pay all this money in rent for the office space. So anyway, so there's this like looming crisis, and if you read the financial news, you'll see that there's like this big sort of tidal wave of potential foreclosures in the commercial office space, in the commercial office market. So,
Interesting.
So I don't focus on that, but
I'm not betting on it. So I'm part of a few networking groups. They said warehousing isn't an issue, but which I didn't even realize
it's just straight office space.
Straight office space. Okay. So do you still do single family homes as well?
Yeah. So I still work with residential sellers, but also with commercial sellers as well. So hotels, apartment complexes, people who are in trouble, and you know, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with human beings, whether you're working with commercial property or whether you're working with residential property. They're all human beings. You know, just because you own a piece of commercial property doesn't mean that you're that much more immune to the same problems that the average person has, whether it's foreclosure or, you know, death. And so sometimes you find that the people who have inherited a commercial property from the relative who was owning it and managing it, they don't have any desire to own it, or they have no idea how to manage it, and sometimes they run it into the ground.
Right.
And so the way that commercial property is valued versus residential property, and not to go on a tangent, but it's based on what's called the income method rather than the comparables method. So if all your tenants in your commercial property, whether it's a hotel or an apartment complex or something, they all leave, then all of a sudden the value of your piece of property plummets. And so I'm able to go in and help people who have inherited potentially a property, or whether they've taken their hands off the wheel, they've focused on something else in their life. Like maybe you have a spouse with a serious health condition. I was working with somebody who had that recently, and he kind of took his hands off the wheel.
Yeah, he's just trying to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I work with a lot of those people, and those same situations apply to the residential stuff too.
Gotcha. It's when you say it, because I'm picturing in my mind, I'm like, okay, comparables. Okay, whenever I bought a house, the way that they value the house is they compare it against other similar houses at a square footage versus income. Oh, I get that, because that's kind of like my business, right? So they look at like, based on tenants or contracts or whatever I have in place, they do some sort of multiple based on, hey, how much money is it generating?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And that's called the cap rate. But
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so it's very easy to have a property, even if it's in great condition. If the income goes down on the property, then it's now worth a lot less.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, because you got to sell it. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's like, it's not like people are living there. It's not a single family home. It's not even same thing with how are multi-unit dwellings? Are they the same way, or are they valued comparables?
Nope, they're valued the same way.
Interesting.
Because if you think about it, like we were talking about stocks before, right? And so it's all about how much money, if I'm investing, whether it's in stocks or commercial real estate or whatever, if I invest X amount of money, how much money am I going to get in return? And sometimes it can be I can get X amount of money in return over a period of time. So whether it's commercial property, can be recurring. If you're buying stocks, it's okay. Well, I think that Microsoft stock is going to go from 50 to 100 in 2 years because they're releasing some new products. And then also when you actively invest, it can be I'm investing money and time. But at the end of the day, we're agnostic, and most people are agnostic when it comes to buying commercial real estate.
Right.
As far as the location, and they just want to know, like, can I get the return on my investment
Right.
that I can get down the street? And if down the street's better and it's easier, then I'm gonna go buy there.
Right.
But if this is better and it's easier, if I can make more and it's easier to do, then I'm gonna invest here. So that's how the whole real estate thing works.
Makes sense. And I got a couple different directions to go into this, but before we do that, just in case, if you are expanding and onboarding is starting to become a challenge, are you concerned about your IT security and have no idea where to start? Are you considering hiring IT staff to handle your growing technology challenges? Look no further than OHMazing.tech, your one-stop solution for your fully virtual IT department. With OHMazing.tech, we specialize in creating a stress-free onboarding process for your new users. Once onboarded, leave the technical stress of managing your environment to us. Our team of skilled experts is dedicated to keeping your systems running smoothly 24/7. Focus on what you do best while we handle your technology needs. From virtual CIO services, technology procurement, and CRM management and development, we handle it all for one low monthly rate. Experience the ease of managed IT services with OHMazing.tech. Visit our website at OHMazing.tech. That's OHMazing.tech. Transform your IT worries into amazing results. I mean, it's just amazing, right? So
Amazing.
hey, I got a couple things that I wanted to go into, and you tell me where you want to start, right? So one is two big questions. Hey, how do I if I was somebody who was looking to, because it sounds like to start off with, it's almost a buying and flipping sort of a thing for distress, but it's a different sort of a buy flip, or B, like, how do you, to speak to your typical client from a single, because we talked a little bit about the like a hotel or something like that, but like from a distressed, a little bit more specific in like ways people can get in touch with you, how to know like when you should be looking at it, is the market conditions right, things of that nature. So which you want to start with going into it, or you want to start with the actual service right now?
Let's start with. Well, we can definitely talk about both, but let's start with the first one, just going into it.
Yeah. So just that, I'm a guy, and it's, a lot of times people hear about like buying and flipping, right? So buying and flipping houses, kind of like a side hustle, or maybe I'm doing like I invest in a couple to Airbnb it or whatever, So what do you, how did you get started?
Well, I got started because, again, like I said, I was as a stockbroker and wasn't doing so well. Wasn't doing as well as I had wanted. I wasn't
Right.
achieving the results.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed to make a change. And so it's funny. My mother-in-law actually, despite all the family that I have that works in real estate, because she's local. She said, "Hey, look how much money I just made on my last flip," and I was like, "Whoa, okay, I'm interested." So,
Yeah.
then I sort of did a little bit more research and lined up some funding, and then I learned more about the business and really underwriting deals, because that's critical in real estate, is knowing how to underwrite a deal. Am I buying it for a cheap enough price or for a low enough price that I can put in all those improvements and still be able to make a profit? Because and I don't think profit's a dirty word. Some people
No,
say,
I mean, you're a for-profit business. I mean, you have to support your. To me, at a certain point in time, you actually have to, like, it's almost negligent and it's amoral to not serve a profit for your business, because you have a responsibility for your employees and the people you serve.
exactly. And and I'm glad that you bring that up, because I'm not ashamed of any of that. And
No, nor should you be. I get tired of hearing that. It's like, oh my gosh, you small business. If you want to be a million, don't start a small business, because most vast majority of them go broke, go out of business, or they struggle to succeed, and I can promise you, they aren't the ones to take. I mean, some of them do eventually, but I can promise you, there is a whole lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into it.
and you can't help more people unless you're making enough money to sustain
Right.
yourself and to be able to generate more leads.
Right.
So I think this goes back to so real estate, just like anything, just like being in the IT business, you can be the best IT person in the world, but if you don't know how to market and then have a sales process where you can convert those leads into clients,
Yeah.
then you're going to have to find a job pretty quickly.
Right.
That's not IT or working for somebody else.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to get into the real estate investment or fix and flip, or something that's not just being like an agent, right? Then learn how to underwrite real estate deals. Learn how to run comps. Okay, learn how to really effectively run comps. Learn your costs, so construction costs.
Yeah.
And then also learn how to market.
Right.
So it's all about lead generation, and lead generation, whether it's internet, direct mail, cold calling. I hated cold calling when I first started, and then I remember the
I feel like you're a master at it.
well, I don't love cold calling because it's not scalable for me to sit there.
Well,
and
no,
cold
it's
call.
not. But do you have a script?
I had a script at one point,
Okay.
but now I've been doing it I've made so many calls that I can just do it.
Just have
with my eyes
You're
closed.
just having a conversation. That's what I told, because we have a script and we have somebody, but it's like, hey, listen, just call. You're interrupting them, to apologize for it, and ask them for a second, and then say why you're there. Be considerate of their time and be polite. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because I've actually bought things from people who have cold called me before, and so when that happens, I realized it was like a light bulb went off on my head, saying, the common perception is that if somebody cold calls you, or you get a spam call, or you get a solicitation, you're going to hang up right away. Nobody's ever going to buy from you. But that's not true. I bought things from people who have cold called me, and it was just that they caught me at the right time.
Same. It depends on who they are, because I am a target for a lot of people in the services industry that target, so I get a ton of them. And if they are good and well, I try to be at least considerate. And if there's a need, I will tell them. If not, then I'll tell them to follow up in 6 months, or just try not to be a jerk. So treat
Sure.
people the way that you want to be treated.
Exactly.
So
So let's say you want to get started in the business. If you learn
Yeah.
how to underwrite deals, if you learn how, okay, this is what I need to buy it for. If it's worth this much after it's fixed up, then this is what I need to buy it for. Fine. Then learn how to market, and there are lots of books out there. Then you have the.
You have a recommendation?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
But then you get to the really good problem, which is, oh my God, I got a deal. Now I don't know what to do with it.
Okay.
Okay. And I think, where people get the paralysis of analysis sort of thing. It's like, oh my God, okay, well, I know how to talk to people. I know how to do this. But what happens if I get a deal? And then they're like scared. People get scared of success. It's like, oh my God, now what do I do? And the answer is, you leverage other people who are in the industry. Okay. You find people like me who can help you with that deal because I have more experience than you do. And if you bring a deal to me, then I can kind of walk you through it. And, I'm going to take a piece of the deal.
Yeah, sure.
Don't get me...
but you're spending time on it. So of course I have to pay you for your time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'll take a piece of the deal, but I'll help you work it. And then, or somebody else, in the industry will, but then you make the money. Okay, not only do you have like a win, okay, which is huge for motivation.
Oh yeah.
But then now you have experience, and so then maybe you can do it next time. And so maybe you give away half the deal, initially, but what that does is it propels you to being able to do it on your own. And so that's hugely valuable. So if I were in the IT space, I would, okay, well, what is it that I need to know? How do I market to the people? And then, oh crap, I got a client. Now what do I do? Then maybe I might call you, and then you and I partner on that client so that I can see what it's really like to service an IT client, and then I can go out and get my own people. But now that I have the experience from that one deal, then I can go do it on my own. I mean, it's simple as that.
Right. No, it's I say to our employees, or anybody actually, it's like, hey, I'm new in this. Just don't ask the same question twice. It's fine you can ask any questions, but if you're going to pay for that, challenge yourself to learn, why are we doing it this way? Take diligent notes. I mean, you got to, to me, it's a business is a series of processes. I have a lead, I have a sales, I have operations, I have all these things that I do that's repeatable. And if I don't have a process, that means I do it. And if I do it, I'm a constraint. That means I can never hire somebody to do it in my stead. And so if I can't hire somebody to do it in my stead, then you know what? I can't ever take a vacation. Or if I do take a vacation, that means the business stops. That's a job, not a business. You know what I'm saying? So it's...
Well, I think we need to stop and like just repeat that, because that is a huge piece that people who are getting into business, I'm not sure necessarily realize.
Yeah.
So what I said before, okay, so you're going to go and learn all these things. You have to learn them, and you have to do them yourself initially to get your first couple deals.
Right.
But then the goal becomes what I like to call radical delegation. Okay, so then you look at every single thing that you do in that business from the very beginning, and you say, okay, well, now that I have a couple bucks in my pocket from generating some revenue myself, and I have some experience, and I know that I want to stay in this industry, now how do I find people who can go do all of those different things for me? If they can do it 70% as well as you can, then all of a sudden you're freeing up your time to really do to really do the highest revenue generating tasks that you can possibly do. So for me, it's talking to sellers. It's communicating with people who have a need, and for I don't think it's necessarily working in the craft, like hammering something or putting in a brand new kitchen. For me, I want to hire people who can do that. But for me, it's the sales piece.
Yeah, and also augmenting your business. It kind of goes into something that I wanted to talk to you about that, we talked to you briefly about it. So if you ever want to add something new to your business in order to generate work, right, or generate leads, right? So you're starting we were talking about assembling a studio, right? What's that about?
Okay, so...
tell us where to find you on that as well, so that way we can subscribe, and share. Because if you haven't, subscribe, and share. The support means the world. So
absolutely, and we'll put the link in the description below here.
Yeah.
But basically, over the last couple of years, I've noticed that I personally have some unique skills that I think differentiate me from a lot of other people who are in the industry. Right? There are other IT guys out there. There are other people who buy homes and who buy commercial property from distressed people. But I have my own unique flavor, my own unique take on it, and I like sharing that with people. I enjoy talking about it because it's what I'm passionate about.
Right.
And so by sharing it and by giving it away freely to other people, that's how I reap the biggest rewards for myself personally. So I'm setting up a studio in my office, and we're going out on location, and we're filming all sorts of different types of properties that we're purchasing, kind of taking you step by step how the renovations are going, but also more to be as a resource for people who, let's say, are in financial distress, or who are who've inherited a property and they don't know what to do with it, or who
Right.
are helping people navigate various challenges that they have with the types of real estate that I purchase. Okay, whether it's an apartment complex or a hotel or residential property, helping people with that stuff. So putting content out there to help people, I
Right.
think is critical, especially in this day and age with social media and trying to grab everybody's attention. Everybody's attention is on their phone screen,
Right.
and so if that information that I can put out is easily accessible to somebody through social media or through YouTube or through Google, then I can be a resource to them, and then perhaps we can take the conversation further. But I'm not doing it with the expectation of
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, no, and same thing with this podcast. The purpose of our podcast is because, like, I found something I was passionate about that, like, I really struggle with. So I like to talk to people and be like, half is to glean, because another thing that you kind of learn is from a business is you got to be willing to shut up and listen, and then listen and do, because, like, some people, you don't have to make every single mistake. You can, or you could just, like, observe the world and be like, oh man, they lost a few $1,000,000 doing that, probably not going to do that, or hey, I need to have some sort of because every business, if you do not have some sort of business or some lead generation to sell your stuff, eventually you're going to go dry at some point in time, unless your business is designed to lose money. Well, I mean, some of them are. Say I'm developing a drug where they do one sell ever,
Yeah.
So, but for that vast majority of businesses, if you don't have a lead process in place and you aren't getting leads in to sell to them, you're going to go out of business if you don't do that. Trust me, you will, every single time. It almost happened to us. It sounds, the first thing that whenever you came on, he was like, listen, you gotta figure out, it's the most important thing that you do, period. Boom. Like, if I would have listened to that and gleaned that, 5 years ago, probably would have saved a little bit of time and effort, or at least a little. Maybe I still have a little bit more hair. Those who are listening audio, you can't see, but I'm struggling. This studio, I was telling Christian from my buddy on the ones and twos. He's like, yeah. See, nice and shiny. But
That's funny.
so what we're doing is we're driving to if our Facebook and LinkedIn groups. We're supporting South Florida businesses. So if you own a South Florida business, join our group. Talk to me about your business. Tell me what's going on. We're here to support you. Everybody, all of our guests are here to support you as well. So we would love to hear, what our fellow entrepreneurs is, because at the end of the day, we want to support South Florida. That's what we're here for. And so that's kind of the mission of our thing. It didn't start out that way, but, like, you find that, like, you got to have a little flexibility, knowing, like, hey, we're going to just start doing this, and then that's our niche.
Exactly.
That's our path forward. So I definitely will like and subscribe your stuff. We're going to put that stuff in the show notes. So please, Eitan's fantastic. We still got a couple minutes, but you've been fantastic with us. So I definitely want to give you a plug there. So
Absolutely, I appreciate that. So and it's all about me wanting to help other people,
Right.
whether they're potential. And I hate to say this because I'm not using it to really draw a business. I'm sure I'll get business, but I want to be able to help people who are potentially my ideal clients or potentially not my ideal clients, so that they know that, hey, I may not be the right solution, but I can point them in the direction that they are. And I also want to help people who are just like me, who are starting off in the industry, because together we can help more people. Like, it's a blue ocean out there. There's
Right.
so many people out there who I could help and who other people could help, but unless I can't touch everybody.
Yeah.
And so sort of like the army, my army, or the foot soldiers, are the people who are out there who are on the front lines talking to other people
Right.
who are suffering with these real estate issues, whether it's a hotel or an apartment complex or a single family home or a condo that they're facing foreclosure or they've inherited and they need to do something with it. If I can teach more people how to do it, then we can help more people, and I'm sure I'll benefit in the process, but I'm going to benefit regardless.
Right. Question. So you're a licensed real estate agent as well?
I am a licensed real estate agent, but I always tell people I am the worst real estate agent ever.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. Have you ever came into a point where it's like, hey, I could do this one deal. Like, why should I not do traditional real estate stuff?
Oh my God, it's such a trap to get into. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
My in-laws were looking to buy a house, and they were very kind, and they said, "Hey, Eitan, can you help us buy a house?" And I said, "Sure, no problem." And so I would go out on weekends, and I would show them different properties, and I always felt a little weird because I didn't want to steer them in the wrong direction. In the way that
It's a lot of pressure.
there's a lot of pressure. Like, what happens if they end up buying the property
And
that
they
I
hate it.
and they hate it?
Oh
Exactly.
my gosh, yeah.
Now,
Especially the in-laws.
especially the in-laws.
I mean, you got to keep them happy.
Now, there are some people who that's not a concern. Like, they don't worry about stuff
They have
like
no
that.
soul.
Well,
No, I'm just playing. I'm playing.
but I think what makes a good real estate agent is, well, let me backtrack. So what ended up happening is that after I showed them, dozens of properties and that they weren't happy with, I have a realtor partner who I work with who sells a lot of my properties.
Okay.
And I referred them to him, and within about a week, they found a property.
Nice.
Okay. And so what I learned there was what I think he's really good at, my realtor partner who I sell properties with, is that he's good at pushing people into making a decision that's the decision that they want to make, but that they're afraid to make.
Yeah, they're just on that cusp.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to be the person to like push or to force or to,
Give them a nudge.
to give him a nudge.
Yeah.
And he was far enough removed to be able to do that. And so what ended up happening, they bought this house. It is the most gorgeous property, and they definitely paid more than what I would have recommended that they paid for this property. But it was the most unique thing that we had looked at.
Right.
And now it's been several years, and the property's gone way up in value. And so like they made out like bandits.
Nice.
But when
Beautiful.
you're in the situation, you're looking at it, it's like, ugh. So by me stepping out of it and not working with them as a traditional realtor, I actually they benefited.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. So do I do that? I got contacted recently by a friend who said, "Hey, can you help me find a property for my husband and me?" And on a very limited basis, I'll do it. But I want to make sure that our visions are aligned when it comes to whatever it is that they're looking for.
Yeah, we make sure we're on the same page, so that way, like, I don't push in the right direction. This is a personal question. I gotta know, man. What's a day in the life like for you? Like, you work for yourself. You work for yourself and been successfully working for yourself since July 2014, right? That's a long damn time. That's 9 years to not have a check coming in the mail that, so how, that if you've got to be, people who are entrepreneurs, you better pack your lunch because you're in for a long day. You better be resilient. You better have some self-motivation, and you better be able to tell yourself that, hey, I'm going to do this today, and hold yourself accountable to it. So tell me, what is a day in a life for you?
Well, I'll start off by saying that one of the ways that I know that I'm in the right place doing what I'm doing is that when I worked as a stockbroker, I would watch the clock, and like 4:45 would come, and I'm like, all right, let me start to pack up slowly, and then
Right.
like 5 o'clock, boom, on the clock, I'm out of there.
Yeah.
Now, my wife, it's really funny. So she tracks my location on my phone. And the reason why she does that is because she used to call me every day at like 5:30, 5:45 and say, "Hey, where are you? What are you doing?" And I would say, "Oh, just a few minutes." Just, she'd want to know, like, do I prepare dinner? What are we doing? And so now she just tracks my location to know if I've left the office or not. Because for me, it's like how I want to squeeze every last minute out of that day at the office before I come home.
Yeah.
So what does a day in the life look like for me? Time blocking is huge. So I know in the mornings, I give myself 15 minutes when I get into the office to just sort of like, just take a breather, just reset. I always write my goals for the next day or for the next week on a piece of paper in front of me so that when I walk in, it tells me exactly what it is that I need to do. Okay, so there's no like, what am I doing?
Are they they're achievable goals, right?
Yeah, they're achievable goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's not trying to be like a convoluted thing, but like sometimes people are like, hey, I want to have 5 sales, but like, dude, you get 1 sale a month. Like, they need to be measured because like there's a checklist thing that.
Yeah, there's something called SMART goals.
Yeah.
Right. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and I think timely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I put those. I actually have a whiteboard in my office where I put my goals for the quarter, and so I have a revenue goal, and then I have goals for my for like initiatives that I want to take. So let's say I want to build out a different marketing channel, or a different market, or something that I want to do that's big. I put that on there as well as a revenue goal, because at the end of the day, we're in business to make money, and I need to be able to generate enough revenue to do that. So I have those on the board. But as far as like, hey, when you get in tomorrow, you need to follow up with this person or that person, or you need to do this sort of thing. And this is apart from what's in my CRM, which I have very dialed in. But so I walk in, I look at that stuff, and then I get into the right headspace, and I sit down, and typically I'm the first call, or the first meeting is with my assistant, and so we're discussing things from the day before. Then we kind of have our direction that we're going in. I'm doing marketing in the morning. I'm answering phone calls. I'm talking to leads, working with the sales team, and constantly training. And then so as a business owner, you have to work part in the business and part on the business. You can't do one or the other.
Amen.
So I work in the business typically in the mornings and in the late afternoons. And then let's say between like 1 and 3 o'clock, I'm working on the business. Okay.
Right.
Now this morning, you and I are working on the business by me being in the podcast studio. But generally I try and do those things early afternoon, right after lunch, so that I can sort of like take a mental break from some of that stuff and work on the bit. Okay, so maybe I'm writing or reviewing some blog articles for the website, or I'm reviewing some changes to the marketing, or something that's not directly revenue generating.
Right.
So that's the day in the life for me. And one of the other things is that I have my own office that's not my home office, and that was a huge shift for me when I actually had to leave work at work. It made me more present as a husband, as a father, and even with myself, because there's a temptation, if you are highly motivated when you're at home, and if you have a home office, well, I'm done with dinner, I'm going to go straight to the office.
Yeah,
and I'm
we're
going to
work. You try not to be a workaholic. I just frickin' like what I do. So like it's really not a chore for me to be like, oh, I'm gonna go over there and work on something because there's something I really want to. I'm a builder, and it's so the temptation's definitely there, and I've always got something that I should be doing, or I could be doing on the business. Maybe not should, but could, so that helps you segment then, huh?
Absolutely. And then on the weekends, what I do is I try to do personal and self-development. So,
right. Okay.
So I'm reading books. I'm listening to podcasts like this one, and I'm learning about new skills and new techniques and new tactics that I can use in my business, but then also in my creative process about, hey, this is a way that people are marketing, or this is things that people are doing that maybe I should implement. And then I sit there on the weekends when my mind is open, and I'm allowing myself to receive that information.
Gotcha. I got a question to come back on, but real quick, we have a plug on so part of our chat. Like if you guys come to support South Florida business, either Facebook or LinkedIn, you'll see me every Monday, every Friday. I check in on some measurable goals, and I check out on some non-measurable, or check out to see how the week went. And I like to hear about the wins. So it's that we do that internally. I do it on that. You heard my boy Eitan. He's doing it as well with his team. So if you guys want to knock some shit out, come on. Tell me what's going on with you guys. Tell me what you want to knock out, and then check, because the more that we kind of create it and we put it out into the world, and there's a level of accountability that's there. And then when you say you're going to do something, even if you don't want to do it, our pride and ego tells us that, like, I sure as shit, I already told you I was going to do it, so I'm definitely not going to let Eitan down, even if I don't want to do it, even if it's good for me.
Sure.
Yeah. So you had mentioned books, and I brought it. You said a couple of times. If you could tell me one book, or give me a couple books, but your must read if you're an entrepreneur.
Wow. Okay. So I would say Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
I've never read that, but I've seen it many, many times. Okay.
And this is what I tell people. So read the book, but also listen to the audiobook.
I only listen to audiobooks, so this is great.
So when you listen, so part of what he talks about in his book is tonality.
Okay.
And so when you're communicating with prospects or with leads, your tone is just as important as the words that you say. And so I don't think that that necessarily comes across in the actual printed book. So so when you listen to it, that's good. Another book is Influence by Robert Cialdini. That's a great book, and it talks about like the different principles of influence, like social proof, scarcity, and there's a few others. But
He knows that. By the way, the unscripted knows the name of the book and the author, so he believes in it. He might not, he's dialed into it. He believes it, so I'm definitely going to be checking out those books because you seem like a bright guy, and I'm the same way. I do audiobooks because hey, that's when I can squeeze a little bit of productivity out of a finite 24-hour day, right?
absolutely.
So
And what I'll say is too, I haven't been as good with this recently because I had a baby like 12 weeks ago.
oh, congratulations,
Thank
man.
you. Yeah, so we had our second kid,
Ah, beautiful. Boy or girl?
boy.
Ah, little boy. Do you have a girl?
I have a 3-year-old girl.
See, I've got two girlies, so I mean, you're in the thick of it, my friend.
I am. So I have not been paying attention to my physical health as much, but I do love bike riding. Okay, and so
I'm a runner. Okay.
So I bike ride up and down A1A. I go up to Palm Beach, down to Fort Lauderdale, and
Beautiful.
whatever, and it's great. But I use that opportunity to listen to audiobooks.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
amen.
It's fantastic. And so I read a lot of biographies on business people and on specific situations
We
that
should
have
hang out,
happened.
man. Me and you are like, wait, seriously, like that's my life. So I'm with you.
So I listen to these books, and I learned so much about how different people handle different business situations, things that they encountered, problems that they had to solve. And so I learned so much about that through other people, through storytelling. And so I find that those are the best. But anything that people can read on sales and marketing that's not just garbage BS, but really like what you can do is if you see that a book is being cited multiple times in different books about that subject, go read that book.
Yeah, I'm a big Alex Hormozy fan.
Oh, he's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's freaking amazing. So, hey, listen, this has been I wish we had more time, to be honest with you. Hey, we talked about a bunch of stuff. I had you rambling on in different directions. Anything that you want to talk about your business? Anything that we haven't covered about entrepreneurship? I want to give the floor to you for a couple more minutes. So tell me anything that we missed that you want to talk about that you want to hit on?
Well, I guess like I said, sales and marketing, those are probably the most important aspects of anybody's business. Okay, so becoming a great marketer, lead generation person, and then becoming a great salesperson. I would say don't hire the lead generation and don't outsource the sales piece until you've actually mastered it yourself.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to hold those people accountable and to be able to train them. You need to be, as the owner of the business, you have to be the best. Somebody told me this once, you have to be the best salesperson in the company, because how else is anybody else going to be as good? They're all looking to you. So that would be the first piece of advice. And then the second thing is that be part of a group, network. I've been part of so many different masterminds, and I get different things out of different ones, but I've developed a big network. And what I've noticed is that when you first join a mastermind, there's this hesitation about, well, I don't want to share everything. I don't want to seem vulnerable because I don't want to give away my secrets.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is that there's so much opportunity out there, and I think I said that earlier. There's so much opportunity out there in business that the more you expand your network and the more you share, the more you receive. And I've learned that. And so I can't tell you how much that's paid me back in tenfold for what I've given and for what I've received. And so I try and give as much as I can because that's a guaranteed return on investment right there.
No, agree wholeheartedly, on both of those. Well, I just joined a peer group earlier this year because I was like, it's a bunch of bullshit, sort of a thing. But like the reality of it, and I also don't want to feel vulnerable, but you get some sort of like, even my best friend owns a business. He owns a marketing business, and if I go to him, I'm like, hey, this is my problem. This is what should I do? Even if I spent an entire day explaining it to him, he would not be able to give me ample advice because he doesn't understand it. If I'm talking to people who are like in that sphere, other MSPs like myself, they're like, okay, I would try this. It may not work, but maybe look to pivot at some point in time. When should I pivot? This is what I did in my past, and they give me better feedback on, because like otherwise, I don't know what I don't know, and I'm going to have to pay for those mistakes one way or the other. So.
Absolutely. I just just a quick thing. I somebody found me online who was a new person in this industry, and I was advising them kind of gently about, hey, you may not want to do this, you may not want to do that. And he said, no, I got this. And I think he lost $150,000 potential profit because he didn't do those things. And it's
a lot of money. It's expensive.
Yeah, and he learned that lesson, unfortunately, within the course of a week. So I knew exactly like where it went wrong. But but what I did is I said, look, man, don't be down about it. I'm here to help. It sucks. I think we could have made both made some money off of this, but let's dust yourself off, and I'll teach you some more, and then we'll keep going.
Perseverance. That's that perseverance.
Yeah.
Because you are going. Everybody takes those L's, so it's it kind of comes with the territory. It's learning. Don't make the same mistake twice. Try not to.
Yeah.
So, Eitan, thanks so much. Eitan Fishbein, right? And we're going to put all the website. We'll have email. All his contact information is going to be in there. If you have any sort of questions in regards to, check out his YouTube channel, guys. He's very we're two peas in a pod when it comes to it. I honestly didn't know him that well. I was sitting here having a conversation with him. Well, this is my dude, right? So, but in any case, thank you so much again, guys. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, buddy.